You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. A very pleasant morning to one and all. Myself, Anushka Gupta, Creative Chief at RAIT-ACM, along with our member Harisha Patkar, will be your host for the day. I welcome you all to another workshop organized by RAIT-ACM. RAAH, your way to success.
This session will not only help you determine the purpose of a roadmap, problems that are needed to be solved, but also to know how you can become a successful engineer and to discover new career opportunities. Before we begin, I would like to introduce you all to our speaker, Mr. Surya M. Kamini. Mr. Surya M. Kamini has completed his engineering from IIT Bombay as an aerospace engineer in the year 2018, worked as an IT consultant in Capgemini from 2018 to 2020, currently working as system engineer in Inferia India Private Limited. Also, let us introduce you all to our surprise speaker guest, Mrs. Jyoti Singh. She worked as a senior analyst in Capgemini from 2019 to 2020. After that, she worked as a senior data analyst in Institutional of Shareholders. She cleared CFA Level 1 held in November 2021, and now she is going to join Morgan Stanley in February 2022 as a senior associate. Participants, please feel free to ask questions to our expert. You can also post your queries in the comment box. We will conduct a question answer session in the end. So, without further ado, I request Surya sir to take on with today's exciting session. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for the kind introduction. As you guys already mentioned, I passed out in 2018 from IIT Bombay. I did aerospace engineering there, and obviously the first question people keep asking me is why I did aerospace engineering and start working in IT. I'll just let's close that and then we'll move ahead. So the reason I did aerospace engineering was there were a lot of people, whether it's family or friends or someone, everyone suggested me to take computer science. But the reason I didn't take was I didn't want to study the same thing for 4 years and also work in the same thing. I wanted to have a different domain knowledge too. That was the other thing. And aerospace has been my second passion. And computer science, I was always thought it to be that we can teach ourselves. So that was the reason. That was the main reason for studying a different field and working in a different field. So now that's out of the way. So after passing out from the college, I worked with Capgemini for almost 1.5 to 2 years. Then we had various projects in Capgemini that really helped my growth. And obviously, I was a very beginner, and it was a service-based company. So I didn't have the option to choose what kind of role I was in or what kind of work I'll be doing. But the exposure I got there was amazing, and the people I met there, the kind of work I got to do, the kind of exposure. So that's about my first job. Then 1 year back, I changed to Infinera India as a systems engineer. The company is mostly network based, and I work closely with low-level hardware components also. At the same time, I work with software too. So now that's out of the way. So that's my introduction. That's my story. Now I have a different pointers I made for myself to talk today. And first thing is I would tell you what a typical day of my work day looks like. So I'll tell you how it was before the lockdown, before all the work from home. So I worked in different shifts. So I got to company. I used to fix different bugs, write new scripts, develop something new, or fix an 20-year-old code also sometimes. Try to come up with alternate ways of doing stuff, optimizing the existing thing. So other than coding, there were a lot of other things involved too, even though it was a software job. Something like presenting your work, or presenting a new design, or presenting a new way of doing things, or even presenting your own work to show that you are progressing. So all these skills and being able to talk with people, collaborate with different teams. So all these things are involved. And post lockdown, when work from home started. I don't know if I should be saying this, but how I work currently is uh, in a 5-day work week. I generally work 2 days from very early in the morning to late night. Then I chill out for next 3 days completely. I just stay online, reply to mails. That's it. But I kind of relax and look at things I can do. As in, I explore different things in my work itself, but I won't be focusing on one particular thing. I kind of just look at very old stuff also, see what new things can be done and all those. So that's how my work day is currently. Work a couple of days full-fledgedly, then relax and try to explore stuff next 3 days. Okay, now coming to the next thing, people ask, so what is needed to become what are the skills needed? So obviously, coding skills are required, and but I would suggest don't overwhelm yourself by trying to learn so many languages at a time, so many tools at a time. Have mastery in one particular language, because that makes it easier for you to understand even other languages easily. But if we are, for example, trying to learn 4 or 5 languages at the same time, and jack of all trades but master of none, that kind of thing causes a trouble in long term. So I would say learn one particular language full-fledgedly, and then the other things come easily to you once you are good at picking the pattern in a language is also a skill. Like how a language works, then you will be able to learn the next language very easily and in a very short time. So that's one thing. Now, other than coding, I had already mentioned. So you definitely need documentation skills, being able to present, and also being able to share your ideas properly with others, being able to communicate your ideas to it's not always with friends or peers, right? So you need to be able to communicate with your higher management. You need to be able to convince people that this is the better way to do it, and whether it is in terms of saving time or maybe revenue for the company, or it could be anything. If it is a better way, you should be able to convince other people to in order to do it. Because right now in college or in our personal projects, it's fine. If we are convinced, we do it. But in professional environment, in corporate environment, you need to be able to convince your team and maybe their higher management for that. So that's definitely one other skill. And the main thing is, I think all of you guys might obviously know, but let me mention it again. We need to be good at data structures and algorithms, and most of the interviews they go based on this. And if you're good at that, because that's like a basic test for them. Even if you're not going to the interview round, even the test, the coding test or whatever, uh, the problems they give, they're kind of based on data structures and algorithms. So uh, if you ask me one thing, only one thing that you need to be good at for an interview, I would definitely answer data structures and algorithms at the first one. Then comes the other things. So those are the basic things we need in terms of technical stuff. Now coming to choosing different paths, right? There are different roles, because even I didn't know what kind of different domains existed or different kinds of roles I can be working in when I just passed out. Uh, and I'm sure even I know from Jyoti too that she was also not aware. And once we got in here, it took us time to learn what all opportunities we have ahead, and what we would be more passionate about and lean towards that. So it took time. So but now you guys are still in college, and if you get to know what types of roles you can be working in, or type of domains you can be working in, I think it would give you a offset. You'll ahead of time you'll be able to decide what your inclination is towards. So that's why we thought we'll talk today and maybe help a little bit, if we can see if we can help a little bit, and give you guys that head start maybe. So I'll talk about what kind of different roles we have, and then I'll hand over to Jyoti, who will talk about different domains and what kind of examples of domains and how she is actually changing her domain from previous proper software developer and data analyst role to fintech roles and all. So now coming to different roles. So we could either be
Sorry to interrupt, but there is a question in the chat box
okay.
regarding how do you manage to actually work in very different fields? What
Okay.
are the challenges you face?
Okay, if I get to all the Q&A at the end, once I finish
Okay, okay,
a
fine.
little bit of the flow. Okay.
Yes.
I'll get to all the questions one by one. Yeah. So coming to different roles and the skills required. So obviously the software development role is one thing. That's the obvious thing. Uh, and there is a role called DevOps, and there's business analytics, data science, and you could be systems engineer like I'm currently, or this full stack developer role. You can be even a hardware engineer, or so many different roles and options which you can be working in, and even in each role again. For example, if you are a software developer, it could be like you're developing a proper high frequency application for some finance uh, domain, or you would be working on for example, currently I work in developing scripts to upgrade very low level hardware components also, just the upgrade cycles and all. So that, or you might be developing mobile applications, maybe that interests you, or you could be a full stack developer where you cover everything, front end, back end, or you could be an UI UX related person who likes visually designing stuff, and have the kind of creative knowledge and would like to go in that. And coming to DevOps, it's like a DevOps role is kind of closer to my heart. That's what I'm trying to change to from a few days, and we'll come to talk about how we need to change the role also after a bit. So again, we have business analytics and data analytics. Business. So you'll deal with a lot of data. You'll be able to gain insights. Maybe actually change some business decisions based on that, and if you're a person who really likes to look at numbers and from that gather some very important insight and uh, something no one even expected when normal usual stuff, day to day stuff is going on, but when you look at the numbers, analyze it, and are able to come up with some decision which actually changes how your organization is going to grow, or how the revenue is going to change, or how some particular flow of operation works. So that if something that interests you, then that's the role to go. Data science and data analytics, one of them. And systems engineer, where you're basically try to get hold of complete system, as in I work with network products, and they have a completely different set of operating system, uh, taking from bare metal hardware to actually system coming up and booting up into an OS, and then being the user being able to configure different network lines and stuff. So you need to be so that's systems engineer, where you are basically dealing with very low level stuff and all round of the system. So that's one thing. So I mean, I'm just giving you examples, but I think you guys need to explore more after the talk we have, because there's a lot to talk, but we have a limited time. So now, so that's different roles. Now I hand over to Jyoti to talk about different kinds of domains and how you might choose your domain based on your passion and stuff. Yeah, over to you, Jyoti.
Hi, thanks, Surya. Hi, all. So, Jyoti this side. So, I have completed my engineering very recently in 2019 from Sardar Patel Institute of Technology, Mumbai. And like when I was in fourth year and third year, I was actually looking out for such a, you're very lucky that your college is giving you opportunities to connect with industry people and, gain insights of this industry before entering. So when I was in my fourth year, I was actually looking out for, I used to go to LinkedIn and connect to such people just to get insights, because I have completed my engineering in electronics department, and I had a really keen passion to two or three things, not just one thing. So I was very confused, like if there is a way wherein I can, make my way through all these things and don't leave any. Like I was very interested since always in finance domain. When I say finance, it's about trading, research, financial research, equity investment. I was very interested in these kind of things, and I even during my college I used to learn these things through Coursera because this was not part of our curriculum. Like financial research and everything was not part of our curriculum, and it really excited me. So I was very much inclined to this domain, and at the same time I had a lot of inclination towards maths and data side. Like I these are the two things, like two or three things which I wanted to work in. So I was very lost in finding out roles wherein I should be able to leverage all these skills, because that you are able to enjoy your IT industry or any other job only when you are working in the dynamics which support your interest. Like for me, finance was my calling, so I decided to leverage my IT skills in this domain. So I just introduced myself, how I started my journey. I joined Capgemini as senior analyst, and therein I was working for a market research client, and therein my role was of a data analyst. I used to work with survey research data. Like every company, whenever it wants to launch any new product in any geography, like when AWS or any company which is working in cloud, it wants to launch a new cloud service product in any geography. Before launching it, it conducts surveys in those particular geographies just to gather insights if people there are really interested in using that service or any other product. If IBM is going to launch, it would conduct a market survey beforehand. So I was working for such a client which is working in this domain, and my role was these survey data used to come to our service team, and we had to build insights and help the decision makers take the decision by seeing the data visualizations and all, that if they should expand their business in, and what should be the strategy of expanding their business or product line in certain geographies. So I worked in this domain for 1.3 years, and to me, this domain was not of my interest in the long run. As I said, I wanted to always be part of financial research, but when you are getting your first job, it's not in your hands, especially when you are not from a tier one college. It's very hard to get your interest and the first job both aligning in the same domain. So for me also, I entered into Capgemini, and I had no control over like what projects I would be assigned to or what role I'll be assigned to. So I worked in this industry for 1.3 years, and the only thing I focused was I should be able to understand how an industry works, how corporate works, what are the interpersonal skills which are required to survive in this IT industry. And because when you are a student, the dynamics around you are very different, the way you communicate with people, the way, and for me also it was very different. So for 1.3 years, I just focused on understanding IT, what IT is, what all, the way you should, understand the hierarchy in the company, the way you should communicate with people, what the basic ethics needs to be followed. So I worked in this worked here for 1.3 years, and then I decided to finally switch to my calling, at least put a step inside what I wanted to do for the long term. And herein, my second job was under my control because this was not a college placement. Herein, I had options to apply for jobs only which interest me. So herein, I applied for a job, data analyst job only, but in financial services company, which was institutional shareholder services. So I joined this company as data analyst, and herein I was working in their market intelligence vertical. So market intelligence is basically a part of financial domain, wherein you help the annuity providers or investment managers. You help them make decisions like what their sell side strategy should be. Like if I am an investment manager, where I should invest my money, and what all are the products which I should invest in, and in what proportion I should invest in. So in order to make these decisions, what an IT analyst can do or a data analyst can do is they can help them visualize the entire sales data, the sales data which have been used in the past. They provide us the quarterly QOQ data, and then we help them see the trend. Like there might be certain products which are not in much demand in a certain geography, and still I as an investment manager are forcing my team to sell those products in certain geography. But once I have the data, I can see, okay, the graph is falling continuously year by year and quarter by quarter. So maybe I should stop selling this product. So IT analyst is not the decision maker, but IT analyst helps the decision analyst, supports the decision makers to make such decisions. So I was working in this team. I have been working, and my last working day here is in a month or so. And as I said, I was working more on the technical front, and I was not able to help again make any decision on the business part. So for this particular thing, I decided to understand the domain, because once you are working as an IT analyst, it's very and you want to switch your industry, it's very important that you have the domain knowledge of the industry you want to switch in. So for me, I felt that I should do something to increase my domain knowledge along with the job which I was doing. So I decided to appear for CFA in my case, which is for the charter financial analyst, people who want to enter into financial analyst, and most of the time it's commerce people which gives this exam, and it's their domain. But like when we are engineers, we have a upper hand in the quant side, because you give any exam, be it related to any industry, you always feel that you are good at numbers than other people in the similar industry. So why not leverage the skills and go for the domain which excites you? So I appeared for CFA L1 in November 2021, and I got my exams around 10 days, got my results around 10 days back, and I was able to clear this exam worldwide at 90 plus percentile, and my score in each of the topic areas was also 70 plus percentage. So this exam is not conducted country wise, this is a worldwide exam, and this exam has given me a confidence that even if I belong to a technical industry, once I try to understand the domain knowledge of something I'm really interested in, the complexity is not when we are, I was not very much interested in PCM, to be honest, or these things, to be honest, the engineering fund, VLSI, and all the curriculum portion. So for me, even the easy things were complex that time. But when I was learning for CFA, just because that domain excited me, even the very difficult things, and even after the most tiring day at the job, learning and studying was something which really excited me. I looked forward to the time of the day wherein I would get time to study that. So I appeared for the exam, and fortunately I cleared the exam, and I got this opportunity at Morgan Stanley as senior associate in their institutional equity research division only. So this role I really look forward to and excited to, because this is the role wherein I feel I can stand in the long term, because after college, this is the kind of role, like my all 2.5 or 3 years of journey, I have been working every day just with the vision of entering into this kind of role, wherein I have not switched my industry. Like most of the people, they say they are not interested in coding, they are not interested in IT, they are not good at coding. And I was also one of that kind. But at the same time, I decided that I didn't want to waste my degree which I have taken for 4 years with all the uh, tears and sweat. So I wanted to use that degree, but at the same time I decided to switch an industry wherein an engineer is more valued, because this person, when people look at me, they should feel that this person is something who can code, and this person is something who has financial knowledge as well. So, and that's what Surya, I think, was talking about. He is trying to switch his domain now to DevOps. DevOps is not a financial research or any other domain. It's related to IT only. But therein you work at, you know, uh, you work more at the system level. You work at building efficient architecture for your platforms, the software. and everything, it should, deployment and everything should be efficient. You work more towards efficiency when you're working in DevOps domain. So for you people as well, I mean, since you people are just going to join the industry, there are two things which are very important along with skill set development, which I feel you should thoroughly research before starting your job hunt. The very first thing is the role which you want to enter in. As Surya mentioned, there are various roles. IT is not just analyst, IT is not just consultant. These are very generic terms. But along with these terms, there are roles like you can enter into this industry as a software developer engineer. So when you say software developer engineer, those people are the one who majorly work on DSA and algorithms. Not just DSA related algorithms, but other algorithms as well. So those are the things which software developer people work on. And then there is platform engineer, SREs, DevOps engineer. These roles you should try researching if you are interested in working at the hardware level things as well, server level things as well, not just coding. Like Surya, as he mentioned, his role is wherein he works at the low level hardware components as well, along with coding, along with C, C++. These all are the things which excited him. Since he belongs to aerospace engineer, he had hardware knowledge as well. So go for these roles. However, if you are interested in pure mathematics and coding is obviously taken of thing, because you can't escape. If you are an IT engineer, you can't escape from coding. There has to be minimal coding requirement for all of these roles. But if mathematics is something which really interests you and you want to enter in, then you have options like you can enter as a data scientist, or you data scientist is a lot of mathematics, and even if you go for masters in at later stages of your life, then you should know that you are going to do masters in data science only if maths is your, maths is your calling, you want to enter into mathematical roles. So data science, and it's a hot role these days, because industry is like really looking forward to very good data scientists and machine learning engineers. And apart from this, if you are someone who feels that you want to enter into data science, but eventually you will enter at some point of time, you just want to enter into the industry to understand like what the data science role would be. In that case, your entry point should be that of a data analyst. Like I worked as a data analyst. So in data analysis, there is not much of algorithms and machine learning involved, but you will learn basic statistics, like what all are the basic correlations, what is basic covariance. So data analyst is an entry point to someone who wants to enter into either data science or any other industry. So when you are data analyst, you can the other so I think I mentioned 2 or 3 roles as of now. Apart from this, there is also a role there are business analysts. So business analyst is for someone who don't want to go into coding, because business analyst most of the time involves working with Excel sheets, working with PowerPoints, and you are expected to be in meetings most of the time rather than sitting in the back office and coding and developing products. So these are the things. So this is the first assignment you should do, understanding what role you should enter in before you decide your job hunt. The second very important thing you should decide is which is the domain which excites you. For me, it was finance. For Surya, it was hardware domain and networking domain. For you, it can be agri-tech. For you, it can be either pharma domain, or there are a lot of options open. It can either be economics, or there is anything which it can be either social causes as well. You can build apps, you can enter into industry which purely works on the NGO model, that is building apps for blind people or helping handicapped people, do something. So decide the domain which actually excites you, because once you have a domain in your mind, even if you don't get your first job in that domain, right from the very first day you start working and on your 4th year project, you will have that alignment, that if my resume will build with that thing only in mind. Even if I don't get my first job, I can switch my second job or third job or fourth job eventually to that domain, the domain which excites me. So this is the second assignment. And third assignment is, once you have decided the domain and the role you want to work in, Keep yourself updated with all the social media platforms and news, and keep following those pages which work on that industry. Like if you are interested in gaming domain, or if you are interested in agri-tech domain, keep yourself updated with what all are the latest technologies emerging in this particular domain, because every day, every year you see some new technology coming up, some new patents coming up, some new papers coming up. So keep reading those papers, patents, and keep yourself updated. Go to LinkedIn, see for the job openings in in that domain, just to see that what are the job requirements. In every job description they list out the requirements. So even if your CV currently doesn't reflect all those requirements, at least you would know that these are the things I need to work on if I'm going to switch my next job or my third job, or eventually after 10 years if I want to enter. These are the skill sets required. For me, CFA also came in that way only. I used to go to, you know, read the job descriptions of quants research role, because I wanted to enter into quants research or, investment research kind of role. So I used to go and read, go on Morgan Stanley website, JP Morgan website, and all these top 5 investment banks website, go on their careers page and read the job description. Like they need all these kind of people. So if I have these skill sets in my CV, my CV will definitely get shortlisted, and I would know like what I need to prepare for the interview. So keep yourself updated with that. And apart from this, yeah, as Surya mentioned, make one coding language as your master anyhow in any one coding language. It's very important. So be it any industry, even if you are not working as an IT engineer, I feel once you have mastery at one coding language, you will always have an upper hand over others who are working in that industry. Because there are, in any industry you will find people with a very specialized domain knowledge, but there are very few people who are good at both coding and domain knowledge. You will find very few people in pharma industry who have very good knowledge of pharma domain and they know coding also. So if you have combination of these two things, you will stand out, and even people from tier 1 colleges or tier 2 colleges are mostly specialized in only one thing. So if you have combination of these two, you are a big, you are a hot product in the market and people would look out for you. So always specialize in any one coding language irrespective of anything, and keep working on, developing skill sets over it. And also don't just go for the generic skill set development. Once you have generic skill sets developed, that is one language is you are through, and you are through with DSA algorithms and stuff. Now look out for the job descriptions, as I said, and learn that in order to enter in this job description, if there is one software I need to learn. Like if you want to enter it as into business analyst role, you will see that in most of the job descriptions there is Power BI or Tableau requirement, or some visualization tool requirement. So once you see that these are the common requirements for this particular role, then build your skill sets on top of that, along with the generic requirements which are required. So I think I'm done from my side, and I gave you like insights on what are the two most important things which you should look before you decide to go for the job change. And let me tell you, when we are from not from IIT or anywhere, then in that case, we have very limited options when we are sitting for the placement. So don't dream that if you are looking out for a role in agri-tech domain and you want a role of a business analyst, then it's very, very small possibility that you will be getting at your first shot in your, in your college placement. It never happens. College placements, when the companies come, they come with a generic role. They don't come up with the mindset of hiring you for the business analyst, and you might even not get companies, uh, the companies or the domain which interests you, they might not even come to your college, and very few people go for off-campus placements. So don't, but even in this case, when you're a fresher, it becomes very difficult to, get into the industry which you actually want. So don't get disheartened by that fact. Just enter into that industry, learn the basic things which would, which would make you employable, which would develop your skill sets. And even if it's a 20,000 job, don't think that it's going to, going to be with you for lifetime. Learn the basic skill sets and prepare your resume such that you stand out from others. Even if your project is, a very menial project, an automation project or testing project, try to do your own projects even when you are working, so that your next job switch, is a rock star switch, and you can enter into the things which you have actually tried doing so since long time. So I think that's from my side. Surya, is there anything you want to add to it?
Yeah, so we discussed about choosing which kind of role we want or which kind of domain we want to work in, and how to go for it. Now let's talk for a short while on after you get into the job, what you can be doing. So, for example, we already discussed. Jyoti discussed about, for example, you don't get the role you want to be in. But after once you get into your corporate environment and the first job, there's no one to push you separately. You need to be pushing yourself towards the direction you want to go in. And even in the current job, you need to be able to do more, be proactive. Try to do something new rather than what has been suggested to work on. For example, I'll tell you my very first project. It was a testing project, and obviously everyone knows that we think of testing projects or testing roles as superior, but obviously they're not. But we think of them that way, and I was slightly disappointed. But once I got there, kind of modified the roles, added a lot of new things to it. We made the client, we proposed different things to client, and got more work in that, and completely converted the testing role into a developer role. And it indirectly even became a DevOps role where I was dealing with multiple teams and trying to keep their systems up and running all the time, while at the same time I was working on my personal work too. So, and also, I would suggest in the very beginning, at least for the first 2 to 3 years, work as hard as you can. Uh, you'll because it's not for someone else, or not about getting the next job, or not about getting a promotion or salary hike or anything. That is to get confidence in yourself that you will be able to do it and you can do it, and to prove to yourself that you can do it. So that's why even currently I'm relaxed a bit and I'm working on my personal work and also office work. But when I was in the first job for the first 2 years, we kind of literally used to work day and night. Even Jyoti was my ex-colleague, so we used to connect every day and work till late night and get the work done. And getting the work done, by that I mean not the work just which your team lead or manager or someone suggested, but the projects you yourself want to propose. You want to do a POC of that. You want to do a sample of the design or some product which you want to suggest. You prove that it works, or you prove that it's a better way to do it. So work on those things. Be proactive, and also think in long term, because in short term, getting a salary or hike or getting promotion doesn't matter if if the role doesn't interest you in the long term, and you don't want to be working here after 10 years, let's say. So you don't want to be stuck here. So plan ahead. And I think in the very first discussion, when I spoke with Pratik and Smithal, I think Smithal had asked me a question. So it was like, yeah. So how do you learn these skills, and how do you while practicing, for example, for an interview itself, you are trying to solve some questions, do some questions, trying to learn some algorithms, and let's say you're not able to solve anything, zero, you're not able to do anything. Then how do you stay motivated to work towards that? How do you do that? For that, what I suggest strongly is have a plan. Give yourself a very good buffer zone. For example, let's say you're planning some 3 month timeline or 6 month timeline. Have that planned, and to reach there, what can you do right now? So think about that. Then it won't be hard even if you're not able to do well right now. Every day should be better than the previous day. So focus on that, and I think that helped me a lot. Even in the chat, I saw a question asking me, I'm from a different field, so how did I learn these things? So that was the plan I followed. I give myself proper buffer. In these many days, I should be able to at least progress in the direction, learn this particular thing, and do something which has value. Not just learn it, but use it in a personal project or use it in a organization's personal project. But add value to it, and then the skill stays with you for long. So that's another thing. And we discussed about role and domain, but not everyone has knows their passion right away. Uh, for example, for me, it took a long time, and I'm still not exactly fixated on one particular domain or passion. So don't worry about that. Have an exposure. Try to work in different kinds of domains. Try to work in different kinds of projects, and one fine day you'll actually be able to find out that this is something which interests you, and you can stick there for long term. You can add more skills in that direction. So don't worry that it was a very big trouble to myself, and I was during college and all, I was thinking a lot about it and kind of wasted a lot of time worrying about it. But it doesn't matter. Even if you don't have one particular passion, try exploring. Exploring is what finally gave me the idea of working in DevOps. When in my first job, I was kind of used for multiple things. I was working with 3 or 4 teams at a time, and whenever a new thing needs to be done, I was the one to do a sample project or a POC on that for the client. So I really got to explore a lot of stuff. I could say honestly, maybe I might have learned some 20 new tools in just 1.5 year time, and maybe learned 2 new different languages because I needed them to show that sample project, and that really excited me. So once you're excited, it doesn't matter if you don't have a passion to. Just try to explore different areas, and you'll definitely find the area which interests you and which you can stick in long term, and which you can see uh, uh, as something you're doing on your own instead of work. It shouldn't feel like work. So you'll get there one day. Uh, so that's all I have as of now. Now I think we can get to Q&A if there's nothing else to add.
Yes, I think Anushka, you can proceed with the Q&A.
Yes, sir. So we'll start with the Q&A session. So I request all the participants to kindly add their queries and all. So, sir, first question was, how do you manage to actually work in a very different field? What were the challenges you faced to actually have it?
Okay, so regarding this, I'll tell you. So right now in current date, no domain in is there is no domain which doesn't require technology. So even in my during my college, I was studying aerospace engineering, but I was working with computational fluid dynamics and all mechanical related stuff. So for all of them, we needed these tools. So I started learning shell scripting. I started learning Python. We even worked on R language for a bit. We needed MATLAB, ANSYS, even CAD related stuff. So while doing all this learning Python and shell scripting, and and one other thing to add is first year of my college was when I first got introduced to my own personal laptop, and that's when I started exploring what an operating system is, how it works, and also no, I was experimenting, installing different variants of the Linux itself, trying to see what's the difference and trying to get to low-level components one by one and how different modules of the kernel work. So I didn't have any particular academic course, but based on my own interest, I was able to learn them. And in terms of Python and shell scripting, I was able to actually use them in my department while I was working with all computational fluid dynamics and all. And in my second year intern also, we published a paper on computational fluid dynamics, but it was completely based on Python. All the algorithm we had to use, all the tool we had to use to prove that the paper is valid was in Python. And we also did the same thing with MATLAB. So for a lot of scientific computing also, you need these tools. So that's how I got introduced to software engineering, basically. And the challenges I faced is, I think once you're interested and like I said, I was suggesting, once you're a master of one particular language or one particular tool, it excites you and it's easy for you to learn the next one. So uh, I would say, not for me, but for a lot of people, the challenge comes in choosing the resources, choosing where to learn from. So I would say that was a major challenge. But I would suggest, don't worry about that also. Pick one particular resource or one particular course or a book or something. And once you start doing, you'll automatically go in the right direction and pick the next project or pick the next resource to read from, or pick the next assignment to be working on. And also, in your resume, rather than a lot of courses or certifications, I would suggest you have a lot of personal projects which you can present. For example, if you're majorly if you're looking for a proper developer role, have a lot of projects in your GitHub. Share that with the interviewers, and that definitely helps a lot than actual directly doing the assignment or something. So have a lot of personal projects is what I would suggest. Okay.
And Surya, just like I'll add to this point, since I'm also from electronics department. So I have been working in colleges of Mumbai, like I have studied in colleges of Mumbai University, and I know, hello,
Yes, we
am
can.
I audible? Yeah, so I know the major challenge in the final year for us is I was from electronics department, and even though I was interested in entering, IT industry, it was very hard for me to pick up a project in IT sector because my department won't approve that. My college teachers were not approving since I was from IT department and I said that I want to do a project in machine learning and data science. My department wasn't ready to approve that. But once you have decided that this is the industry you want to enter in, and for the entire year, this is where your focus will be. Your project, you won't just do and implement the project, you will study only this thing for the entire year, for some part of your entire day. So be very focused on that. I would say that compel your teachers and try to convince them that how this is going to help you in long term. It's not necessary that if you are from electronics department and that thing doesn't excite you, for you if power circuits doesn't excite you, doesn't mean you have to do it just because for the department. Compel your teachers and try to convince them, try to show them how the project which you are doing is going to benefit the society, and not just society, benefit you in the long term. Even if your current job doesn't align to that, the placement which you have got is not relevant to the project which you are doing, but still try convincing them. Because your final year project is very important, I feel. People most of the time take it very lightly because they already have a job in hand, so they take it very lightly, thinking that it's of no use. But I feel when you are taking your final year project, be sure that that is one thing which is going to, you will get chance to learn it for the entire year. It's not for one semester. So make a make your teachers, convince them somehow that this is the domain you want to work in, and convince your department. Don't compromise on that thing, I would say, because in my case, I had to fight a lot with my department just to get my project approved, because I was from electronics and I never worked on electronics project.
Okay, ma'am. Next question, as you mentioned about the master's degree, so there's a question arising is that should we do a master's right before we complete our degree, or should we take some time for the job, take experience?
See, I would
uh,
suggest. I would say it's completely depends on individual basis actually. But for example, if you're going to core domain, if you're not from a computer science background, you're going to core domain, then right after college would seem like the better option. But in computer science background, it completely depends. It doesn't matter whether you go immediately or whether you go after a delay. And my personal preference would be that you wait and you come into the industry for a bit, learn what are the different areas that are there, and then you can do masters in the domain you want to work in. Because even in masters in computer science, there are different areas, right? It's not like one complete one single course. You could be either working with operating systems, you could be working with networking, or you could be completely working with cyber security maybe, or data analytics maybe. So if you are so clear about it, it's okay to do it right after college. But I would say personally, explore the professional environment, maybe at least a couple of years, and then you can choose the degree you want to work in. I'll give you an example. One of my friend, he was working for last 3 years. Last year, he finally found his passion that he wants to be working in data analytics and business analytics. So he took while working itself, he didn't even leave his job or anything. He was able to pick up a course with IIT Kolkata, Kharagpur. They had a data analytics and business analytics course. And just a couple of days back, he got his certificate and in business analytics and data analytics. So while working, he even made his spoke with his company, convinced, and he even not just studying the masters, but he actually changed his role. He was working earlier in operations. He realized that he wants to be working in analytics and not operations, and he actually resigned the job. Then when he spoke with his CEO, CTO, and all, they were fine with him switching the role, and he carved out a role for himself in the company. That role didn't exist in his particular company at the time. He carved out a role. He started working in that. He started creating his own goals, and he at the same time, even the company paid for his masters. So based on all this experience, I would suggest you wait for a bit, get to know what your passion is, get to know which direction you want to go in, and then you can do your higher studies. Doing it right after college, while it is okay for other core departments, I would say for computer science, come to industry and have a look at it, then choose masters.
So, like as you said about your friend, so did he do gate or something, or did he do some upgrade or some sort of
No,
course?
not even that. Actually, there's a advanced business analytics course which is specifically run only for. Yeah, I'll tell you one more. I'll add one more thing to that. That course was earlier only for people with 5 years experience or higher. But out of his passion, he mailed the college people. It is supposed to be not even remote. It was like continuous 3 months or 3 months college like that. But because of the corona and all, he took the course completely remote. But it is run every year by the college. It is not related to upgrade or gate. You don't need to give any separate exam, but based on your resume and CV, based on your resume experience and college and different projects you worked on, they pick you up. The college picks the students. And he was actually able to convince the professors of the college, even though he had only 2.5 year experience, to let him allowed to do the course. Yeah.
Sir, after completing our degree, we are offered a job in one of the multinational companies. Job so, is there any reason that we should not go for that job and go for MS? And in what field can we decide in which subjects or in which field we need to pursue our degree in masters?
I mean, I didn't get you. You're offered a job by multinational company. You're saying?
Surya, I think I can answer.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, Harisha, you are asking that if you are offered a job, how should you decide if you should be going to masters or take up that job, right?
Yeah.
Is that your question? Okay, so for that thing, I would say, there are very few people at the fourth year level who actually know that if they are going for masters for what reason. For most of the people, it's only because the job they have been offered is of low salary, and they feel that once they do masters, they can earn a higher package when they are in US. If that is the reason, then I would feel that is not the correct reason to go for MS. Because in my case and Surya's case, and we have many mutual friends who started working even at low packages, but they entered into IT industry. I think it's very important that when you are going for masters in any of the computer science related verticals, it's very important that you enter the industry. Even if you work for 1 year, it's very, it adds a lot of weight to your profile. Even when you're going for masters and they see that you have worked for an MNC for a year or so, it adds a lot of weightage to your profile. And at the same time, you will have a clear vision after 1 year that you wanted to go into computer science, or you want to go into MS in data science, or you want to go for MS in financial mathematics, or you want to go for MS in business analytics, because there are various MS verticals, and you would only understand them once you are working in a company and you see what each of the domain will add value to your profile, and what things you can learn. So if just money is the thing, then I would say that even if you are getting a low pay job, take it, work there for a year or so, take the industry knowledge, and then only decide to go for masters. I would feel so. I actually feel so. Surya, I think you also
Yeah. So
agree to this.
while even I suggested that you wait for a year or two, and
Mhm.
another caution to add is don't wait too long, because I
Yeah.
see my seniors who waited too long, like 4 or 5 years, and then now kind of they're hesitant to go back to MS because they are settled down, they have families and stuff, and they can't go back to studying. So you are too to explore and get to know really what you want to do, but don't wait too long either.
Yeah, 2 to 3 year buffer is, a good time, because by the age of 26 or 27, you should know that are you going to continue in your job or are you going to study? Because, in my case, when I was in college, I wanted to do MBA, but only after I started working did I realize that, once I complete my CFA charter holder, I can get admissions in better colleges foreign if I want to do courses in finance and MBA. So I feel once you're working, you would get exposure to better, profile building things. And maybe you can enter into a better college for MS after your, exposure in corporate industry.
So there was a question regarding how do we prepare for interviews and what all things should we keep ready before it?
Okay, so for interviews, obviously we suggested data structures and algorithms, but aside from that, at least during the college placements, right, people tend to keep asking more puzzles rather than some other questions. So one obvious place to start studying is Geeks for Geeks. Even most of our friends and even our seniors, everyone stuck to that, and that has a very good amount of resources that you can go through and learn. Even interview experiences are present in the website, where the people who have interviewed and got the jobs, or even rejected people, they present how the interview went. So read about those experiences, and that would help a lot. And at the same time, be confident in the interview. Try to show them that even if you don't know something, you'll be able to learn. You are willing to learn, and you actually are excited to learn something new. So that's how present it in an optimistic way. Then yeah, I think that would help. In terms of resources, like I said, there's a lot of stuff. Geeks Movies is one, or practicing in HackerRank is the other one. On HackerRank kind of websites. Uh, and even last time I suggested to Smithal that do a lot of practice questions. Just even if you're getting them wrong, try to give a lot of practice, and then it becomes a habit, because given 2-3 hours and given your mental peace, probably you'll be able to solve the answer. But during the interview or during the coding test, there might be limited time and the stress of the job over you. So with a lot of practice, you will be confident and be able to do it in given time and all. So again, I'm stressing. So be strong in data success and algorithms. So Jyoti, you want to add something?
And along with DSA, you should also have a very good database management skill. I feel so. I mean, not on the architecture level, but at least you should be good at querying, because in the interviews and all which I have given, I realized that they test your SQL skills most of the time, because nowadays, even if you enter into any industry, any company, they assume that if a fresher should at least have the knowledge of SQL. So I feel you should be, good at the basic SQL queries, and because in the interview you are not allowed to use Google for that. Even if you are going to use it in your job, in interview they won't allow you for that. So be good at SQL as well, I feel. And apart from this, have a very, very strong hand on the final year project which you are doing. Know in and out of it, know everything. Even if the algorithms which you are not using, you should be able to answer. Why are you not going for the other approaches? You should be ready for such questions. So final year project is also a very important thing, I feel. So.
Yeah, so you should be able to tell anything regarding your resume. So be careful about what you write in your resume, and you should be able to answer any question on that. And even if you are faking something, fake it well and have a backstory ready for that.
And one more thing, like if you are appearing for technical interviews, not for non-technical roles, but for technical roles, make sure that your interview doesn't, your resume doesn't has lot of non-technical things on you present on it. Because in my college, there were people who used to do modeling and fashion shows and stuff, and they have written those achievements also on their resume, and IT companies rejected them just for saying that they won't be a better fit for this role. So, don't write irrelevant stuff on your resume if you are good at, writing sports and all these things in one liner is okay, but don't bluff a lot of these things on your resume that they occupy 60% of your resume. Just, looking these things. Make sure that it's relevant to the job which you are appearing for.
I would like to question, like, since Jyoti ma'am said that people usually don't go off campus, so uh, being from not from being NITs or IITs, does it really matter? Like, if we can apply to other companies on the basis of DSS skills and everything, so is it possible to get, or is it pretty hard to get? So it's better to go on campus ways.
No, no, no. What Jyoti was saying is generally people don't go for it, but we would strongly suggest you start applying outside too. And I'll tell you a couple of examples. So I started with Capgemini, and there was some 3 months training in the beginning. And within those, one guy left within 15 days because he got an R&D job in Samsung, which he applied. But he had come had come to Capgemini only because he got campus placement. But as he was still trying for the domain he wanted, he was still applying outside, and he got it and he left it in between. And within those 3 months, I saw at least 4 people leave and get the job which they wanted, other than campus placement. So you should definitely try in the domains, and even the roles, if they seem like a little bit out of reach, there's nothing wrong in trying for it. So go for it. It would help a lot, because even in future, even if you are sticking with campus placement, when you are going for the second job or something like that, this research and trying to write mails or cover letter or sharing your resume with the different companies, HR tools and all, this would help a lot. So yeah, definitely go for it.
You know
So
what,
does
Smrital?
it
Even if you have got a job, it's very important that you secure a placement in campus. Even if you want to go off campus, secure a placement in campus. It's very important. But at the same time, as Surya said, prepare a LinkedIn profile, prepare your profile on Naukri.com, and a relevant profile with relevant keywords, not random skills and those things. And keep applying for all the jobs which you feel would be a better fit for you. Keep applying them, because during Corona and pandemic, I have seen companies actually want freshers. A lot of freshers are getting new roles, and even college pass outs. Even in ISS, we have roles which specifically suggest that only for freshers, 0 to 4 years, 0 to 3 years. So keep applying for those roles. It's not very difficult. I would say even if you're not from tier 1 or tier 2 college, it's not very difficult once you skill sets are matching to that role.
So does it not create a problem? Like usually college people they make a sign a contract like you have to be there for a year or 2 years, and so does it not
No,
create
you sign that contract only after you join. Only after on the first day of your joining, your contract becomes valid. But if you and if, mostly try to enter for the companies which don't have contract. I would suggest so, because in our case, in Surya's case or me, we left our job in 1 or 1.5 years. It was possible for us only because we didn't have contract. So go for those companies, and even if you have contract, you can mention it in your next job that this is the amount you have to pay if you are leaving your company, and if your next job company is very good and they really want you, they are even ready to pay the damage amount. So don't think that if you have bond you have to work for 2 years. No call, and college would never, college says that you have to take placement only from us. But I know there are various people from my colleges as well who got the college placement in L&T and all, but they didn't take it. They applied for startups from outside and they took placement in startups. So there is no compulsion in that thing. And even for the bond thing, you can pay anytime and you can come out of your job, even if you have a bond.
Yeah, got it.
Ma'am, like we, or the freshers, like the first year and the second year students, like in your college days, what were the mistakes you did, or like you came to know later that you should avoid in the first two initial years of the engineering?
See, in first and second year, I was a very lost student because at that time I didn't even know that if I will be sitting for the placements in final year or will I be going for masters. I was a very lost student and I enjoyed a lot the entire college time, and I don't think so I regret it because I really feel after so much grilling you have put up in in till your 12th standard. I feel first and second year is something where you should keep yourself open and flexible rather than worrying about what is going to happen with you in the final year. Because I feel, and it goes without any, even if you are from electronics, even if you are from computer IT, just go with the curriculum, enjoy your college time. I don't feel so till second year you should be worrying. In fact, don't worry about getting into internships. I really mean that because internships with second and third year people with which they get, they are of no use to your job. Most of the internships they give you just documentation work or Excel work or some paper work, and you know even though it sounds interesting that you have got an internship in Incred or Siemens or something, but if your work is really, because second or third year people in industry, they don't treat them even as employable people, so they just hire interns. You can get it through contacts or you can get through internshala, but if that internship is not adding any value, I didn't do any internship. Even if I was offered in a company, I didn't do because I knew the role was very menial. I just have to do testing of the pages, web pages, so I didn't do go, it didn't excite me and I didn't do it. So till second year keep yourself open and flexible. But once your second year this thing ends, fourth semester ends, and the break which you get, in that break start your homework for the fourth year. Start deciding that the roles which you are interested in, the domain which you are interested in, and whether you want to go for masters just after the college, or you want to stay here in India working for a company for a year or so. Go for all these homeworks only in the third year. I would say there are people I know who were very much motivated from first year, but they also landed up at the same place where we all landed because for me also the motivation came in third year only. So it doesn't matter till second year. I think you're not making any mistake till second year.
I would like to ask a question since you talked about internships. Like when want to gain experience and all, for even agar explore कर रहे हैं for like domains and all, तो are internships better या फिर projects? Like what should we go with?
See, I feel projects are definitely better because internships, it's very least likely that you will get internship in the domain which you have found interesting. And even if you get a company, like if you are interested in, say, media domain and you get an internship in INC Media or some media company, it's maybe the work which they will give you, it will pull out all of your interest in that domain. because they will give you a very menial work when you are joining them as intern. So it's better not to judge an industry and your decide your domain and your explore your domain while being an intern. I feel you can better decide it when you are doing your own personal project. Pick up a project from Kaggle, pick up a project from GitHub. If nothing, download a GitHub project and just run it, and then do the reverse engineering and understand the code and implementation. Do these things. I feel these things are better way rather than just interning in a company. I feel so. I think Surya also would say same, right, Surya?
Yeah, I would definitely suggest that projects are better way to learn because you're doing things are on your own and trying to come up from scratch. And
Mm-hmm.
like Jyoti was suggesting, but during interns, if you are able to get in a domain which you are interested in and you get to explore, and if you have the time to spend there, I would say go for it because you'll be actually able to see what's going on even if the role you are working in is not that good, but you'll see other people working. So if you have the time to spend and if you are not involved in any project, you can go for the intern. But in terms of understanding stuff and getting stuff,
Exploring, yeah.
projects would definitely help because you are doing it on your own and trying to come up from scratch and trying to find the resources if someone else did it the same project already or something like that, so you'll get to know all that stuff while trying to do projects. Yeah.
So can a FE get an internship if he knows DSA and a programming language?
Yeah, definitely, because you'll be able to get it, but I also say you should look out for what area you want to be doing interning. And if the internship is not completely unrelated, it may not help your placement. But if you are so clear about your uh, role and passion, then go for the intern in the same domain, and that would definitely add value while you're sitting for placement.
Yeah,
And
but make sure that the internship which you are taking is actually a good work. Don't just go for
yeah,
content writing stuff, because I have seen most of my friends doing interns in very big companies, but they are doing very menial stuff there. Like, it
so
doesn't add
think
anything
about
to
it.
their
Think
profile.
about it and see whether it actually adds value or not.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
like,
So
Mhm.
yeah, continue.
I wanted to ask that how do you apply off-campus internships?
You go through these all LinkedIn jobs. You go through Internshala. You go through Naukri. You, for example, if you already have a company name in mind, go to their careers page. Find out their HR email or just a careers portal, and you start applying. That's how you get it. And
Go to the most simple way I would say is go to LinkedIn and go to the talent recruiter profile of that. Like, you will find there is, for every company there is a talent recruiter. So find their profiles. Like, if you are looking for an internship in say JP Morgan, go and find all the talent recruiters which are recruiting college students, and it's mentioned on their profile already. Go to them, email them, message them and say that you are really interested, and is there a way or opening in which you can enter into their profile or something. Maybe you can communicate with them. Don't hesitate in messaging or networking with people in throughout this journey.
And while applying for either internship or job, if you have multiple roles in mind, for each of them, try to prepare a different resume which focuses on that particular role, and have a cover letter kind of thing ready, and then you can keep sending the mails. You don't need to work every time you're sending a mail. So have the content ready, what you want to say, why you want to work in that role, all those things, and then start applying. You can either go through contacts, you can either go through LinkedIn or Naukri or whichever it is. Just have proper kind
There
of.
is also a website like Insta Hire. It also is a very good website for freshers who want to enter. So keep applying. I mean, every day apply for 20-25 jobs and internships, and you'll listen from them eventually. And try to directly reach out to people. That is the most effective way and the
And
quickest reply which you can get.
And another way is if you have your alumni, that's another really good way of approaching for either intern or job. If you find some alumni of your college working in a company, you can try to contact them. You can give yourself an introduction, tell them where what you want to do, and see if they can help with that. And people are really willing to help when you show that kind of excitement, because even we got a lot of help from our seniors and all. So that's another way. Keep that in mind. Other than the usual ways, go try to talk with your alumni, your seniors.
And another important thing I feel is be ready for rejections as well. In my case, I wanted to enter Morgan Stanley since last 1 year, and in the same year, I had three rejections from the same company. This was the fourth time I was selected at MS. Sometimes I used to be rejected in my first round or second round, and it's just that when you're giving interview, I always had this thing in mind that if I'm switching my job, I'll go in this sector only, irrespective of the salary I'm getting in other domains. I'll switch in this sector only. Investment banking was my calling, so keep applying. And even if you get rejected, learn from every interview. That for me, I was getting stuck at some concepts in every round. So every in my second round or the third round which I applied, I third time I applied, I was prepared for it before the interview, that okay, this was the thing I stuck last time, so I'll maybe work on this thing. And eventually, like for this round, for this interview which I gave, there were 7 rounds, and I was able to clear them, but only after 3 rounds of, 3 times of being rejected from the same company. So don't be feel anything bad if you are getting rejected, and don't change your goal when you are being rejected from 1 or 2 companies.
Could you please elaborate like what these rounds are specifically?
See, for me, as I was changing industry and I wanted to enter into a domain, like I wanted to enter into both a role which is a combination of both IT and finance. So for me, the interview rounds were majorly, uh, the initial rounds were majorly focused both on finance, having knowledge on the financial products, and like what is the market index, what is the equity. In my role, that was an important thing because I was entering into that sector. So they asked me all those things which I studied in my CFA curriculum. Those were the things. And obviously, they asked me about a lot about Python. Python is anything which, if you are working with data or data related roles, or machine learning related roles, Python is a language which people focus on a lot. So they tested me on Python, and they also gave some very basic algorithmic questions like related to palindrome, related to string, related to Fibonacci series and Armstrong number. So even though these are very basic practical level questions, but people expect you to have a good analytical thinking so that you can solve them if given at any point of time in your life. So that's why, Surya, as mentioned, that DSA and algorithms, these two things you should, keep preparing for any round of interview for any domain which you are going. So, but in general, when you are appearing in college placements, in that case, there are two things which you should research before appearing for interview. First is obviously your resume. Your resume, you should be very confident of everything which you have written on your resume, and you should be able to justify that what work have you done and everything. Second thing is research on the company. Like if you get selected for say company Capgemini tomorrow, then before appearing for interview tomorrow, research on that company today. Like what does Capgemini work in, and if they ask you why you want to be part of that company, you should be able to answer that, and answer in such a way that it looks like you are going to be joining them for the long term, and you are going to be a value add to them. So these are the two things I feel so.
How can you means what is the importance of GPA in
Mhm.
placements or internship related stuff?
See, GPA would help you definitely for some companies in your college placement. Because in college placement, Morgan Stanley used to come to our company. It was only for 8.5 plus CGPA. That's why I wasn't eligible. And even Credit Suisse, I think it was 9 plus CGPA. For JPMC also, it was something like that. So for the very first, job which you are taking, there are certain companies which have put restriction on GPA thing for the very first college placement, because they don't want to interview the entire crowd of 600 or 500. So that's why they put a GPA restriction for the very first job. But trust me, after you have taken a job in your first company, from the very next company, I don't even write my college education now on my resume. I only write the work which I have done. So GPA is only important in long term if you are going for masters or if you are going for MBA. But apart from that, if you are just going to do job, even for entering into very elite companies like Google and Microsoft, your GPA doesn't count after your first job. Maybe in your first job it does, but after that it doesn't.
Ma'am, like in the initial years of our engineering, what basic skills should a student have? Like we are meeting few friends, they are good in Python, Oracle, and all the computing languages. So, like, what basics should one know before he is going through the engineering journey?
As I said, in the very first 2 years, you should just explore because the main homework you are going to do in the third year. In first year, don't get yourself stuck with any one language. If your friend is studying Python, he might be studying Python because either of the two reasons. Because first thing, he might have already started studying Python at उसको किसी ने बोला होगा and he might have started studying and now he finds it easy, so he will suggest you also to study Python. So don't just listen to people in first 1 or 2 years. In first 1 or 2 years, first decide like what is your calling. See, there you won't believe there are people in my college who were even interested in music industry, and they even in music industry they have entered as IT professionals. So in first 1 or 2 years, give yourself a free hand to discover everything possible, all the technologies which are part of your curriculum. Excel in them, because I think in the first 2 years, first 4 semesters, the curriculum also is very good. You have Java, you have C language, right? So try to explore these languages, try to understand what object oriented programming is, why and how do you communicate with a machine, what thing happens at the memory level, how means not just the high level coding language, understand how the variables are assigned at the register level, at the memory level. So get a very good grasp of object oriented programming, get a very good grasp of the basic algorithms which you studied for first and second year. If you are from electronics background, then also I would suggest C and Java is part of your curriculum. So take these two languages seriously and understand what's the difference between structured language and object oriented programming language. Even if you are not good at language, have conceptual knowledge like how these two codes work in the backend. So
So, ma'am, there was a question that since the world is heading towards NFTs, so how do you look at it? Like, where is the internet heading, and what should we keep up with the pace?
I'm sorry, but I didn't get meaning of NFT.
Ma'am, that crypto things and all.
Okay. So you see, there are people even in my college, and in fact, for me, as I said, I wanted to enter into finance industry. So NFT and crypto is something which is, a new buzzword. In fact, in finance industry. But if you are, is this person who is asking question, is he asking like being an IT engineer? If he wants to enter into this industry, is there a way? Is he asking in that thing? Or he wants to totally change the industry and go to cryptocurrency and those stuff.
He's asking a general question that
See,
whether
yeah, so if this is your thing which which you are really interested in, I had a colleague in my previous company who was interested in this thing like cryptocurrency and these things. So what he did was he wanted to explore more about it. He did some personal projects on that. For me it never excited me because there are very few companies in India right now which are working, very few companies which are working in that domain, and the market size is not very huge in India as of now. So I didn't never tried exploring this domain. I was more of the mainstream person. I looked at equity investment and all those things. But yeah, crypto, if you are interested, then very first of all, I would say what this person did was I think he did some personal projects. He did some, he tried reading research papers and stuff. And then there is an institute, ISI, Indian Statistical Institute, if you are aware. then it runs a course. I think it's the only institute in India which is currently running the course on cryptocurrency and bitcoins and all these stuff. He has entered into that course now, and I think after he has completed the course, he has entered into actually a company with a very high paying job, which is, even though the jobs are very less, but those jobs are very high paying jobs if you are entering into this industry. So finally, he got to enter into a job which is working in this domain. And I really feel so like in next 20 years, this is going to be a very hot market, crypto market. But currently, there are very niche roles. So if you are entering, you should be very specialized in that. And before entering, have a thorough research, and if possible, do this certifications and courses which like institutes like Indian Statistical Institute, and there are some foreign institutes also running courses on that. So just having theoretical knowledge won't work, because in this you need a very high level of knowledge of computing. The computing power and all these things are very important in this sector when you are working in crypto and stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would like to ask one question.
Yeah.
Could you, uh, suppose if I have a startup idea now and I want to pursue masters also, so where shall I go first? Will I go for startup or my masters?
See, if you have a
See,
startup idea, how strongly you feel that idea is one first important thing, and how much do you actually know about that idea that in particular industry. So for a startup, I would say research is the most important thing, because I have seen many people actually realizing their ideas and getting their startup up and running. I have also seen people where they just wanted to do something where they are not in a job, but they wanted to do something of their own, and without enough research, they try to do a few things and fail. So try to do enough research. So how is your particular startup going to be different from others, and what is so unique about your idea? And let's say idea is not unique, but there are very few players in the industry. So, how are you going to attract customers and the end users towards you? So, I would say do enough research, and after enough research, if you feel that the idea is really going to click, put in the hard work. It might even take you 4 or 5 years, let's say. Don't worry about that. But if you're so strong about the idea, go for it. But
and see, Karan, one more thing I would say, like when you are thinking of a startup, the only difference between doing a startup and entering into IT job is when you're doing a startup, you should have an entrepreneurial mindset. Like you should have an understanding of market and business as well, along with technology. Like just when you have knowledge of technology and you have no connections in that industry, like even I and Surya, we might also think of a startup in like next 15 years or 10 years, but currently what we are trying to do is we are trying to research for that thing. Like he also is thinking of something, I am also thinking of something, but currently we try to research a lot and make networks in that industry before we start, because I really feel so having a network is very important before you think of a startup, because once you have network, you have a strategic partner, you have which investors you can approach to. Like not all investors would be ready to invest in you, but if you are thinking now and you are you have a very strong feeling that your startup is going to do well, then you have TBIs, incubation centers set up in most of the colleges. IIT Bombay has its own incubation center. My college also has its own incubation center. So you can call the incubation centers and you can directly reach out to these college. It's not necessary that you should be part of their college ecosystem only. You can reach out to them, you can discuss your idea with them. You should have a proper business plan in mind, and if they really like your idea and the business plan and they feel it's investable, then you can get a lot of funding. In my cases, many friends got a lot of funding, but the only thing is the startup business started, it really lasted only for 2 years or 3 years. It didn't last after that because they didn't have the long term vision of it. So I would say first of all, do a very thorough research. It takes a lot of time to do market research and build networks. So just funding won't help. Funding and domain knowledge won't help. There are other things also.
Thank you.
So if any other one has doubts, you can ask, or we can conclude with the session.
Surya, there is a person who has asked in the chat box about uh, the companies which are working in the crypto sector. So I think we can provide that thing after this meeting to them, because I think you recently interviewed in a company which was working in that sector, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there are companies which you can, and there is definitely a scope of it. But at the same time, you should be very good at other things as also. You should have the domain knowledge of the entire crypto thing and how the ledgers are built, how the blockchain is built. So have that knowledge first. Have knowledge of computing, computing power and all the and at least one very good coding background is required. So these two things are necessary before you enter, and obviously there are companies, very high paying jobs available in that industry, so you can work. And if you are really interested in learning more, then I would suggest that apply for that course in Indian Statistical Institute. I think it takes admission through gate, I think, if uh, I'm not very much sure about it, but yeah, you can connect me after this session, Meghna, and I will direct you to the person whom I was just talking about, who has entered into this industry. So maybe he can guide you.
So should we conclude? Is anyone having any doubts?
Ma'am, is the share market is a good option to invest money in early 18s and 20s?
I think it's a very subjective question. You should never ask this question to anyone, not to me, Surya, or anyone who is making millions in share market. You should not ask this question to them, because there are various factors involved in that. First of all, I started investing in shares only after I studied a lot, because just बहुत लोग invest करते हैं listening news कि Infosys अगले साल ये करने जा रहा है, तो उसका वो ऊपर जाएगा, या फिर टीसीएस नीचे जा रहा है, एंड आई लॉस्ट अ लॉट ऑफ मनी एज वेल डूइंग ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स. सो आई वुड से कि पहले बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स होते हैं बिफोर यू स्टार्ट इन्वेस्टिंग इन शेयर मार्केट. ऑब्वियसली अर्ली एज इज अ वेरी गुड थिंग, बट एट द अर्ली एज यू कैन लूज ऑल्सो अ लॉट ऑफ मनी, एंड ऐसा हो जाएगा कि यू विड लूज इंटरेस्ट इन मार्केट एंड यू विड से कि आगे की लाइफ में नहीं करना है. सो बिफोर दैट लर्न ट्रेडिंग, लर्न की क्या क्या इंडिकेटर्स होते हैं, learn about, there is a course of technical analysis of share market. Learn from that course technical analysis. There is also a thing called as fundamental analysis of companies. Learn that thing as well. I think Zerodha and Grow and on Coursera as well, there are various courses running for learning trading. So before you learn trading, don't enter into share market just because your family is doing well in that, or your relatives and friends are doing well in that. Don't enter. And even if you enter, when you are learning, go with there are simulation platforms, I think, wherein you have fake currency and fake it's like gaming. You just enter with those, start with those apps, and once you enter into actual market, also start with SIPs, mutual fund SIPs. Don't invest in equities directly. Mutual fund SIPs, every month put out 2,000. Even if your salary is very low, you can anyhow afford 2,000 to put in SIPs every month. So start with SIPs, and if you are going for direct equities like companies, invest a very small amount in any company, and then you will realize like how things work. So just don't put a lot of money at once in one company. SIPs are the best way to enter into share market even at your early age. Go only for SIPs. They are very safe for the long term.
Okay, ma'am.
Any more doubts? Ma'am, then we'll conclude the session.
Okay.
There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. I'd like to thank Mr. Surya sir and Jyoti ma'am for honoring us with their time and presence, also guiding us and solving all our doubts. Thank you for enlightening us with all the valuable knowledge and information. Also, I would like to thank all the participants for patiently attending the session and keeping up the enthusiasm. Last but not the least, I would like to express my gratitude to the Principal of RAIT, Dr. Mukesh Patil sir, and HOD of IT Department, Dr. Ashish Jadhav sir.
Also, guys, don't forget to follow RAIT ACM on social media handles for more such updates. We have another exciting All India level competition coming up, Camerex. So stay tuned as you'll get to know more about it through our social media handles. We promise to keep bringing more such exciting sessions for you ahead. Till then, stay safe and keep learning. Thank you.
I would request all the participants to fill in the feedback form so that you get your participation certificate, and the link will soon close off, so fill it soon.
Okay, so all the best and thank you. And you all can follow me or Surya on LinkedIn. And I think if there is any doubt regarding entering into employment industry or anything, you can contact us on LinkedIn, and we'll help you out with that.
Thank
My
you.
LinkedIn name is
Thank you
Jyoti
so much,
Singh.
guys, for hearing us out. We hope we added even a tiny bit of help to you guys. That makes us happy. So it was really great talking to you guys, seeing your interest in different questions and different different kinds of questions you guys put. So I see a lot of excitement there too. So thanks a lot for today. Yeah, all the best for you guys.
Thank you, sir.